You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton, here, hanging with you guys, and good morning. Well, guys, sorry for the delay on the podcast episode here. We are doing our best to get it up real time for you guys. I'm actually down here in beautiful Kansas City, Missouri, and we're actually down here for a trip that we took to Kawasaki Motors, the engine company. Really excited about that. And right now, I am recording this podcast episode real time. It is Wednesday morning. I am at the Sheraton Hotel floor 35. I'm looking out this huge window. This has got to be a 7-foot by 7-foot window, pretty large window. And I am looking at the skyline of Kansas City, Missouri. At least I believe it is. The sun's starting to peek out of the, what is this, folks? I don't even know. The east. Gosh, I should fact check that. Hopefully that's the truth. Coming out of the east here, I got a beautiful glow and glaze over the city this morning. The skyscrapers are all lighting up with that gold glow this morning, and the city traffic is starting to move and shake, and everybody's getting to work and doing the deal. I have a flight that I got to get out of here in about 3 hours to head back home, and then we're going to be doing our weekly live stream this evening, 7 p.m. with our Facebook group link. And so that's going to be pretty much my schedule for the day. In between all of that, going to be zipping around at the airport and on the airplane, bunching out quotes that we have going on for Brian's Lawn Maintenance, our lawn care company. And so it's a busy trip. It's a productive trip. And it's been a really, really good time. Wanted to debrief a little bit for just a couple minutes on a couple items actually here that I wrote down. This will be probably a small episode, just so I have something for you guys today. Sometimes you're just, doing the best you can, flying by the seat of your pants. I'm still recovering over getting, with a cough and this head cold thing that I've had for a couple weeks here. So I'm trying not to go too hard, but I still want to be consistent for you guys. I wrote down raising rates, quotes. We got our first quote back that was approved. We had a pissed off customer, and then want to just remind everybody about the LMN launch party that we have going on Thursday night, real time, tomorrow, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern on the Brian's Lawn Maintenance YouTube channel. So let's do this real quick. Let's take it from the top. Wanted to talk about the elephant in the room, big Kawasaki trip. That was kind of an unexpected trip that came down the pike about 3 weeks ago. Sometimes these things turn around pretty quick. Sometimes folks are like, hey, man, I heard you're in town. I want to get lunch or want to get dinner or let's hang out or you want to do a meetup. And usually I'm like, dude, if I was in town longer than a day, I would love to. I'd love to get barbecue, love to get dinner, love to hang out. But truth be told, usually the trips are like 1 day, 2 days in and out. And as you guys can imagine, between the talent that comes in and then the companies that you get to work with, they want to be pretty effective and pretty quick. Usually they're bringing in their folks as well, maybe some of the marketing companies that they get to work with, the ad agencies. And so usually it's kind of like wine and dining on the night before. It's all day event that day. And then usually everybody flies home that night or first thing in the morning. And I know it sounds weird because you're like, well, how hard is it to get dinner? But dude, there's just no opportunity for it. It kind of stinks. And as you guys can imagine, I don't want to extend an extra day or two before or after, exclusively just to get dinner and to hang out and miss another night with my, wife and kids. So at the end of the day, I miss getting to hang out with so many different folks when I do these little pop in, pop out kind of visits. So I always struggle with that because I know there's a lot of buddies here. I've got a friend of mine, at least I think he's a friend of mine, Josh Sutton, and we got Greg Scheller and a bunch of great guys. I saw that they actually did a meetup. I think Weston with Synced Up was in town. I'm like, gosh, they're like, probably 15, 20 minutes down the road. I wish I could hang out with those guys a little bit more. So it is always a challenge in that regard, but hey, you're here on business. You got to, be effective, and it is what it is. I did on Monday evening get to hang out for just a couple hours with Blake Albertson with B&B Lawn Care. Blake's a good dude, man. I love hanging out with Blake. I've known Blake for, 7 or 8 years now, B&B Lawn Care on YouTube. And it's really cool just to see the kid grow up, to be honest with you. Like, it's cool seeing, he's gotten engaged and married and popping out little kiddos and growing a family. And, his company is went from just him and his, Ford Raptor as a 16, 17-year-old little sprout to, the dude's running 2 crews, mowing a couple hundred lawns a week. They're growing every day. And actually, while I was here, we did shoot a quick video for like 2 hours. We filmed a video for my channel, filmed a video for his channel, in and out kind of stuff. And it was actually their first day back with spring cleanups, if you will, for their company. So it was actually kind of cool, kind of fun, kind of a fun kickoff. They were like 3 or 4 weeks ahead of schedule here in Kansas City. I guess it's been a pretty mild winter. And as I look out, of course, urban city grass isn't the best rule of thumb of what the rest of the area is doing, but all the parks and all the little like walkway areas around here that I'm looking out this window, this beautiful skyline, they're all green. It's pretty wild. And we're not doing too bad back at home ourselves in Michigan. We'll have a little bit of an early spring as long as the weather holds up. We're going to be tackling spring cleanups next week ourselves. It's really exciting because we're about 3 weeks ahead of schedule as well for our company. And in Michigan, don't hold your breath, because next thing you know, they're forecasting 4 to 8 inches of snow. And not only is everybody going to do snow, that puts everybody back another 2 weeks. And then you're, mid-April to late April, and then everything's screwed. And everybody's like, hey, when are you getting our mulch in? You're like, dude, it just snowed 5 inches. And that has happened more times than I care to remember, if that makes sense. So it's a little bit of a head fake. So hopefully it's spring, not fool spring. You guys know how that goes. You ever see that meme on Instagram? It's like, you are here. You're at fool's spring. So hopefully this spring kicks off and stays here for Kansas City, Missouri, and pulling for you guys. So to circle back to the Kansas City or the Kawasaki trip, we went to... Oh, folks, I apologize. It was about an hour and a half northwest, Maryville or something like that. There's a plant there, and there's another plant somewhere else. But, just long story short, when you get invited into these trips, sometimes you wonder, like, what's the MO, what's the angle, what's the agenda, what are we trying to do? And they asked us to film a video and, share some Instagram slides and a post as, like, they call it deliverables. And that's just, what it's called in, like, the industry for, making content, if you will. And I said, well, like, what are we here to do? Like, you wanted me to, like, tell a story about Kawasaki and sell engines? And they're like, well, no, not really. They're just, we want to show you the plant. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Okay, cool. Like, we want to talk about, like, how innovative the plant is and how clean it is and, how the manufacturing is, this awesome, setup, and maybe how it's different from the other guys, right? No, we don't want you to do that. We just want you to see the plant. I'm like, okay. And then it's... well, yeah, but sure, you want me to position Kawasaki with, just a little bit of a +1, maybe for people making buying decisions this spring for their next mower purchase, right? Like, hey, we all love Kawasaki and know Kawasaki. I've had probably 10, 12 units over the years, from Stars's to Vertex to Laser Z's to X-Mark aerators to my Radius to... Folks, almost everything I have a couple other engines from Kohler over the years, but almost all of my stuff has been Kawasaki. Go figure. My first engine was a Kawasaki. I know that. And they're like, no, we just want you to see the plant and come hang out. So I'm like, okay, well, sure, whatever you want me to do. And so when you do, a sponsored content or whatever, of course, there's like messaging points that anybody would want to get across, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking. But it was a very unique trip. I was talking to Sean Spencer, who came with us, and his wife, Savannah, letting you guys know them, love them. By the way, great people, man. Love them. Awesome time. It's always cool just to get to hang around folks like that. High caliber folks. Doing great in their business. Doing great on their social media. And Sean and I got to look at each other perplexed. We're like, well, like, what can we do to help you guys out? Like, what can we do to help with the messaging? And it was just funny because they're like, we kind of have no expectations. We just want you guys to have a good time and see what we're doing. And it's a kind of a different approach versus somebody else who says, like, hey, we want to talk about our new fertilizer, or hey, talk about our new mower that's coming out, or hey, we have this technology that nobody else has. We want you to help spread the word. Well, I don't think I can really help spread the word anymore about Kawasaki. They best I would imagine are have a dominating market share for most OP OEMs, for engines, if you will. A lot of you guys probably have Kawasaki engines, and everybody else is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to +1 them or put anybody else under the bus. Well, I've used Kohler, I've used Vanguard, all great engines out there, obviously. But at the end of the day, it was actually a really fun plant tour, getting to meet the folks, getting to meet the people at the plant, really just getting to document that. We will film or did film a YouTube video, and hopefully splice that together maybe on the airplane or in the next day or two. But it was just a really fun time. It was cool hanging out with the Spencers. It was hanging out with all the folks with the Kawasaki team and the marketing team, and a lot of brass and highfalutin folks, if you will, that were actually really down to earth. Nobody was rank and title type folks there. It was actually like very low key, very fun, small, intimate group and hangout sesh. I will say this, just to report back into you guys, they are good people, and it was a really fun trip. If anybody needed a nod on, how good Kawasaki is, and then to, go purchase your next mower this week at your dealer, boy, dodged a bullet. Hopefully you made a good, confident choice, right? I'm just having some fun. But it was really cool just getting to hang out here, getting to hang out with them. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more to come down the pike. So that was a fun little soiree here to Kawasaki. I invite you guys to check out that video on YouTube and drop a like, drop a comment, say, hey, I heard you talking about this on Brian's podcast, or hey, thanks, Kyle. We appreciate what you guys do. Thanks for making great engines and keeping my business running. And I will tell you, and I don't know how much I can share, but it's about 1 million square foot facility under roof. Huge assembly lines, very intricate stuff. Actually, very unique because they're not only building a lot of the components with their big forges and smelters and, presses and all this stuff, but they're assembling and putting the engines together there too. And literally at the end of the line, as you can imagine, a full engine comes off. But one of their highlights was we went to their training center, and we torqued bolts, and we used like flat bars and how to torque correctly. It was actually kind of fun. It was kind of dorky, but it was actually pretty, fun experience because they taught us how to like correctly torque bolts. And they said, well, we have an engine. It's got to be under certain specs. Can't be too low. Can't be too high on every bolt that we zip into this thing. And I was like, sure. I'm thinking, well, yeah, that's what impacts are for. And, think about this. If you guys are changing your blades on your lawnmower, open mic, how many of you guys are using a flat bar or torque wrench to torque the blade bolt to spec? Right? Elephant in the room. If I had to ask that, I would bet you 100 out of 100 folks listening in per 100 don't use a flat bar or torque wrench to put your blade bolts back in on your lawnmower. And by the way, that's one bolt out of, 100, if not 1,000 bolts, and screws or whatever on your lawnmower, right? Ironically enough. So it's just kind of funny in that regard because, you get your blade bolt in for your lawnmower, you put a little hand twist screw, on that blade bolt, and then you take your impact and just crank that sucker in until you hear a couple knuckles, and hey, the lawnmower blade's tight, let's go. And it's just really funny because, well, it should be torqued at, 90 foot-pounds of torque or whatever it is, right? And who knows what the impact goes to or set to, and you're like, well, hey, that's why I use setting 2 instead of setting 3. And it's like, again, the world of guessing in so much of all that we do, but have you ever torqued a bolt to spec? Frankly, transparently, folks, it's probably 20 years under my belt almost doing this thing. I don't think I've ever used a flat bar or torque wrench on anything that I've ever owned or worked on. And some of you guys might have like just punched the brakes and like crashed into a wall on your, in your car. Hopefully not, obviously, going, what the hell? You've never torqued a wrench. But I'm like, listen, folks, I don't know. Like, we have impacts, we have screw guns, drills, impacts, pneumatics back in the day, batteries now. And yeah, we haven't really had to take anything to spec on a torque wrench. So anyway, it sounds kind of fun and kind of dorky, but it was actually really fun and really unique. And they really pride themselves on their training at Kawasaki. They can take a rank and file person, just, an applicant, whether they're 18 or 50 years old, and they have about 3-week onboard process to get them set up with technical training, and they can put them on the assembly line. And they have like 3 different checks every day on all their torque wrenches. And because it's a big deal. It's a big issue for quality. Obviously, you want to make sure everything's torqued correctly. And then they have like floating people that check for quality. They have an engine at the end of the shift that they completely disassemble and make sure that everything was torqued correctly for the whole line. If not, they reject the whole line that day and like recycle it to bring it up to spec. It's really, really cool stuff. We're talking 1 million square feet of warehouse to help build an engine. And then I was actually talking to the plant manager. I said, it's so funny. I go last fall to Exmark, and they have 1 million square foot facility, and they're making the lawnmowers, right? And the engine is the biggest component probably for that lawnmower outside of the hydros, right? If you would imagine. And it's just crazy because there's a 1 million square foot facility supplying an engine to Exmark's 1 million square foot that's assembling the mower. I would imagine the wheel pump motor, brand of choice, and Parker or Hydro Gear, these different guys or whoever, whatever, they have a 1 million square foot warehouse somewhere else doing the same thing, factory doing the same thing, just for the Hydro Gear, right? And so, we get out there, and it is kind of cool in this regard. I know it sounds a little dorky, and I don't want to stretch this out any more than it needs to be, but it is kind of weird. Like, we go out there, you drop the gate, you're ready to go mow, Susie's lawn, and you're getting $50, and you, pop on the engine, ignite, and turn the ignition on. You drop the deck, hit the blade, PTO, and you just go mow. And you don't realize, like, bro, there's a 1 million square foot facility making engines with 10,000 checks that got the engine set. Then there's logistics of getting that engine from Kansas City, Missouri to Beatrice, Nebraska. Right, then it gets over to Nebraska, and there's a 1 million square foot facility there with 1,500 employees or whatever it was, and then that. It gets on a mower deck, and then they, do the whole deal. A mower chassis, they do the whole deal. Then it's got to get shipped to your dealer, and then your dealer to you, and then you got to, of course, trailer it to the property, like the shelf life and the journey of a coil or a screw or a bolt or a camshaft or a flywheel, right? Like all these different things that go through here. It's just, I'm always impressed by the free enterprise market. I'm always impressed by capitalism. I'm always impressed with the logistics, of all of this stuff. And you just start to think like, man, like what a fun intertwined economic system we have. And it's really, really cool. I'm like, dude, I didn't even know this plant existed. And there's 1,500 people here or 1,000 people here putting all this stuff together. It's just really cool stuff, So that was the Kawasaki trip in a nutshell. Great people. I have nothing to communicate to you guys. I have no messaging points, no deliverables, no nothing. I just was like, hey, it's a fun trip. It was cool people, and we've used a bunch of Kawasaki, power plants over the years, and a solid knot. I did get to see the Evo engine getting built. That's their new engine in the last 18 months, and the Evo engine is really dope. Way crazy, awesome. They talked about a bunch of specs and features, and it's a ground up design, like 10 years in the making, blah, 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 blah. They're like, it's not just a different engine that we improved upon. It was a ground floor grassroots, engine build, which is a little unique. And it is a really cool engine. Long story short, if you ever are shopping specs for your next power plant, check out those Evo engines. They are, changing the game. So let's do this really quick. I just wanted to talk about one or two other things with LMN and pricing, and then also I had a frustrated customer while I was here. So let me actually take a quick break. We're going to hear from today's show sponsors announcements, and I'm going to get a sip of water. We're going to come right on back.
Attention all entrepreneurs, achieve more in 24 with Entrepreneur Academy's Link membership. For a limited time only through April 30th, when you join Link, you'll receive an exclusive offer. Free registration for you and your team to the Equip Exposition in Louisville, Kentucky. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. Connect, learn, and grow your business while staying up to date on industry trends and innovations. Elevate your entrepreneurial journey today by joining Link. Seize this incredible offer and propel your business to new heights. Unlock your free registration to Equip for yourself and your team when you purchase your Link membership before April 30th. You got it. There's a link for that in the show description.
All right, guys, let's jump back into it here. I have a couple other notes, and then we can wrap this podcast up here in a short and timely fashion. So one thing I wanted to talk about while I was flying down here, and I was in the airplane putting together a quote, and we finally have all of our information plugged in for LMM with our pricing, our production rates, everything that we need to charge for a company, our break even. By the way, what was it, Monday's podcast episode where I talked about go ahead, outweight pricing work and how folks are actually coming up with their numbers. Definitely a feather ruffling episode. I had no less than about 10 or 15 DMs, 5 or 10 text messages, 1 or 2 emails. It was actually a very well-received podcast episode. And I actually had a bunch of my jobber friends reach out, and they said, dude, I'm thinking about LMN. What do you think about it for my company? So on and so forth. So it is kind of funny in that regard. Not to be prideful or proud or anything like that. It's just, when you call a spade, it's like, folks, how are you pricing your work? And it's nothing against the jobber folks or anything like that. They're good people. Again, all great people. Nothing against anybody there. If you zoom out, the question on that podcast episode on Monday was, how are you pricing your work if you don't have a budgeting tool, if you don't know your cost, if you don't know your overhead, if you don't know your break even, if you don't know how you're charging for profit? And you guys are going to hear me talk a lot and sing praises about LMN for quite a while. By the way, at the time of this recording, I have not received a dime from LMN. Not for a sign up, not for a referral, not for a sponsorship, nothing. Okay, I have not received a dime for LMN to talk nice things about going to LMN, or we didn't switch because we have a big brand deal coming for LMN. It has nothing to do with that. It never will be ever anything to do with that, with our content. Rest assured, never will be, never has be, never has been, never has be, never will be, never has been about the money or brand deal or anything like that with what we do, folks. You got to understand that. Maybe there's a reason why like our content's always growing and pretty well received, and has stood the test of time for 8-9 years now doing this crap, because we just shoot it straight. We are always honest. We always try to be as authentic as possible with what we do and communicate that to you guys. And so that podcast episode on Monday, I believe it was Monday. If you missed it, go back and check it out. It's a little bit raw, especially towards the end. Granted, I'm still a little under the weather, so talk about unfiltered. It's probably the day cool talking. But it was a really, really insightful conversation saying, how are people pricing their work? Well, anyway, fast forward, I had sent out some quotes at the time of that podcast, and it actually got the first quote that we built back and approved with a customer of ours that we've done work on that site before, and the tenant switched over. So now we're working with the actual landlord that owns the building and the facility to continue work and actually get a lot of work cleaned up. They have a huge overhaul of cleanup, huge pruning work. They've got some tree work there that we're going to sub out. There's a lot to do. So here's the deal. I looked at my quote from the year before, 2 years ago, actually, when we were doing the property for a different tenant that was renting the building, and then they took care of the maintenance with us. I looked at my pricing for my contract, what I was getting 2 years ago versus what we should be at today. And it's not even like adjusted for inflation. It's just flat out factually looking at the pricing. We were about 15 to 20% higher on this quote that I just submitted, and it was approved. We got it accepted. And I had a little hallelujah while we were at dinner with the Kawasaki folks on Monday night, because I sent that quote off, I don't know, about 1, 2, or 3 p.m., whatever it was, when I was on the airplane. And 4 or 5 hours later, it got approved that afternoon, evening. And I'm like, dude, this is freaking awesome. This is our first quote. This is our first estimate with real numbers, real profit, this is actually what we need to price to make money with our company moving forward. And I'm really, really stoked and pumped about that, as you guys can imagine. Again, here's some inside baseball. The previous cut was $175. Element had it priced at $221. I remember that. My cleanup, I think I was pricing my cleanup at $700, $600. I tried to get $750 for a half a day, $1,500 for a day rate for our crew and our rig and our guys. Well, I punch all my stuff into LMN. It chomps the actual numbers, our actual overhead, what we actually need to charge, and the desired profit margin on that, as you guys can imagine. And the spring cleanup was $1,001. And the fall cleanup, I'd have to look at that, but it was $1,400, and I would have did it for $900 the same time last year or 2 years ago. And so the wild thing is, folks, how much money was I going to leave on the table? How much profit would I have left on the table? And frankly, how much was I paying to do the work? I'm losing money, believe it or not. And so, as you guys can imagine, it's I don't know, it's like buying a new toy and then getting it to work correctly. And then you're like, dude, it's a whole new world that just opened up. Well, we adopted new software. We built a quote. Anybody can build a quote, but to get the quote accepted, You're like, what up now? Like, holy breakthrough, holy crap. Like, this is amazing. Now we can get our feet underneath us and start, chomping out hundreds of quotes. So I was really excited about that breakthrough for our company, and we're going to start making some serious profit moving forward. So I'm really, really pumped about that. Number 2, I wanted to talk about, and we'll probably actually land the plane here a little earlier than I thought. My voice is definitely starting to go a little bit more than I'd like to admit. But I want to talk to you guys about and show you about how all that is coming together for our CRM and our dashboard for LMN. And so quick little last thing, I'll just land the plane here. I wish I could go a little bit longer, but I apologize, guys. My throat is giving out. Please don't miss the LMN launch party that we're going to do live tomorrow night, Thursday, from 7 to 9 p.m. on the Brian's Law Maintenance YouTube channel. We've got Mark Bradley, the founder of LMN himself, that's going to be doing a live stream with us. We're going to share screen and show everybody, how LMN works, how our account works, and basically just try to be as open and transparent and honest and show you guys the system, the platform, our budget, what we're charging. We might even go through that exact quote and show you guys what we're charging out there, in the marketplace, and showing you guys exactly how it works. And again, here's the thing, 2 different conversations. If you guys are just getting started in business, or you have a side hustle, or you guys are doing 50, 80, 100,000, and I say just, but that's because that's an awesome size business. Please don't get confused over the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, as we aspire to grow to, $1 million plus company. Please don't think that you're getting lost in the weeds, or getting left behind, or if you don't grow, you're a loser. Like, it's nothing like that. It never will be from our content. Please know that if you're still using Jobber or Yardbook or some other CRM like that's catered for a smaller company, dude, awesome. That is the right tool for you. I will also say, if you guys are listening in and you're still trying to justify to yourself, if you got a $500,000, $750,000, $1 million business, and you think that you're hot stuff and you're using one of those 2 other CRMs, I'm telling you not to get you to switch to LMN. I'm telling you to switch so you guys can start making the profit you deserve. Well, Brian, I'm making good money. I maybe you are, but I will say 2 things. Number 1, how do you know? How do you know that your business is profitable and you're charging the correct rates? And then number 2, how do you not know that you're not leaving more money on the table? That's the concerning part too. Maybe you are making profit, but maybe you're only making 6%, 8%, 10% profit with your company, and your goal is to make 15, 18, or 20%, right? So I really want to just help everybody demystify. I really want to help folks to stop guessing. I really want folks to feel confident in what they're doing and what they're charging. And if I had the breath to talk about quotes right now, I'm getting less quotes approved, and I've been talking to a lot of folks. They're getting less quotes approved overall because we're all starting to accurately price our work, and we're realizing, 1, how much we've all been giving away, but then number 2, folks, imagine this, like the pandemic here, the real pandemic, the blind leading the blind, is all the new folks getting in the industry and in the business, and they have no clue what they're charging either. And so you got guys that are installing a yard of mulch for $60 when it should be $140 per yard installed, or whatever the cost might be. Or they're, hey, I can mow a lawn for $35, and we're all realizing, hey, it should be $52.50, for a base cut to make a 10 or 15% margin, right? So I'm just telling you guys straight up, my podcast is for people that are looking to grow a real lawn and care landscaping business and really try to understand how to run a real company. That's just where I'm at mentally. That's just what I'm trying to do with my life. I'm not here to entertain. I'm not here to just promote a bunch of events and be a groupie. I'm not here to sell you guys on a product or service. Frankly, if we had no ads for the rest of the year, I couldn't care less. We pay for this out of pocket. I'm just telling you guys straight up where I'm at trying to grow my company and what I'm excited about. And so I want to share that. I want to provide that excitement. I want to share that excitement. I want to share what I'm learning. And, take it or leave it, of course. I'm not here to convince you guys to sign up with LMN. But I just want to make that available for you guys Thursday night, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern on the Brian's Law Maintenance YouTube channel. I hope to see you guys there, okay? So I'll get into the juicy customer story here, maybe for Friday's show if my throat, comes back together and I get another day to rest up and put another show together for you guys here for Friday. But that's what I got for you guys today. If you guys are part of Link, I'll see you guys tonight, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern in the Facebook Live or the Zoom, whatever we got going on. So I'm excited about that. I'll see you guys there for sure. Hopefully I can rally my voice a little bit more and hang out with you guys there. Always a good time. But that's what I got for you guys on today's podcast episode. So this is my Bobby Kennedy podcast episode number 2 with his voice. I'm not making fun. I don't know his condition, but that's how I feel like my voice sometimes translates in a podcast when I've got to continually cough and hack. So anyway, I appreciate you guys listening in, and you guys have a great day, and we'll catch up with you here on the next one.
It's finally happening. Spring is in bloom, and so is your chance to elevate your business with the Spring Postcard Training Program and Design from Launchpreneur Academy. Marketing, it's not a one-shot deal. It's about consistent effort and strategic outreach. That's why we've crafted these postcards to simplify your spring marketing efforts. Say goodbye to the struggle of designing your own and hello to our professionally crafted templates, tailored specifically for your lawn and landscape business. With just a few simple steps, you can customize the postcard with your business details and then let our trusted partner, Postcard Mania, handle the rest. Whether you're targeting new clients or reconnecting with existing ones, our spring postcard is your key to a thriving season. Order now and make this year your most successful yet. There's a link for the Launchpreneur Academy in the podcast description.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.